Hey, howdy everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a bit of a different video than usual. If you like this video format, let me know, and I may do some more in the future. But this video it came about because I had a song request from Airsick Lowlander, Matt, and he requested that I listen to the song Stymphalia by NevBorn, and I did. I talked about this a bit in my Igor reaction, but I did. I listened to the song. The song is about 15 minutes long. It was a really cool, like a prog epic. Had a really nice build throughout the song, and I listened to the song. It was like a 25-minute video for a 15-minute song, so it was 10 minutes of me yapping on top of the song. It was a really good song. I gave it a 7.5. I enjoyed it, and I said I would be interested in looking into hearing the rest of the album and hearing more from them in the future. However, in the process there, I forgot to check that all of my recording things were working correctly. And unfortunately, they were not. Again, I said this in my Igor video, but whenever my computer restarts or updates, it messes with the inputs. And so my microphone input was not this microphone. It was inputting through a different microphone that has nothing connected to it. So it was trying to take input from something that was not giving any input. And because of that, all of my mic everything in that 25-minute video was nothing. It was silent. So I have a completely useless 25-minute video that I just got to delete and scrap now. The plus side of this is that in place of that video, I am making this, where I went and I listened to the full album, not only of the album that Stymphalia is from, but also part 1, because the full album is a part 2, with part 3 coming later. It's a trilogy. And now I'm going to do a review of it, and I'm going to kind of talk about it, my thoughts on it, things I liked, things I didn't, and basically do the post-reaction part, but without the reaction. Okay, so let me know if this is something that you guys like. I think I may do this in the future for more albums that I either think maybe won't do as well for reactions, or maybe, I don't know, there's a bunch of different things, or like albums that I've listened to on my own time in the span of doing this channel that I think would be good albums to talk about, like Calandra the Line. That's an album that I kind of wish I had done a reaction video to, but I didn't. And I think it would be kind of cool to go back and talk about it and discuss why I love it so much and things like that, and do a little bit more of that. And the reason that I haven't done a ton of that, I mean, I kind of started the channel talking about the 2 Viljarta albums, the Mastodon albums. I talked about those, and then I also talked about Take Me Back to Eden. I did like 2 analysis videos early on in my channel, and I didn't really do any other analysis videos. I did one on Periphery Hail Stan, because, I don't know, that's a whole thing. And then I ended up listening to it again for the first time in years and not liking it. So it was kind of an interesting experiment. I didn't do a highlights video on YouTube of that, but it's on my Patreon if you're interested. That kind of style of video I haven't done since then, and I'm thinking, instead of doing those where I go super into detail, because there's a part of me that wants to do more of that, but then there's also another part of me that is saying, oh, that's a lot of work. And I know that seems like, oh, Corey's just lazy, but it's really something that I kind of want to do, and I kind of want to just listen to albums and then just talk about them when I'm more informed about them. And that's sort of what the CoreyCast videos are for, but those end up just being sort of more general summaries. And with these kinds of videos, I can break down more things about the album than I would in a CoreyCast episode. So with this, going forward in the future, instead of doing full analyses, which require me to like really know the album inside and out and like play along with everything, and like I gotta be like on my game the whole time. I feel like I have to really love an album to do an analysis of it. But for something like this, where I just heard it yesterday and it's kind of fresh on my mind, I think it's cool for me to kind of do a little bit of a review when I've kind of thought about it a little bit and given it some some mulling over. So let's talk about this. The albums that I'm talking about today are, of course, Alkaios Part 1 and Part 2, The Eagle, and The Peacock. And we're going to start with Part 1. Or just, I guess we'll start with the overall concept. The overall concept of these two albums is that it is the story of the 12 trials of Hercules, and each song represents one of the trials. Each song is about like 12 to 18 minutes in that range, and there's only 4 songs per album. So you have 4 15-ish minute songs, and each album's like an hour long. And that's kind of the overall concept, and you can see that in the album art. You saw it in the thumbnail, but I'll also throw it up here so you can see the album art for these two albums. Very Greek mythology inspired, very interesting, very cool looking. Let's talk about the music. Part 1, or actually before we get into Part 1, I want to talk about Stymphalia. The biggest thing, my biggest takeaway from Stymphalia was that it felt like it wouldn't work for a reaction because it was very slow moving and slow building. The atmosphere was really, really good, but it took its time over those 15 minutes to build towards the end. And then even when it got to that big build, it like milked it for 3 more minutes till the end. And I had a feeling that that was going to be what the other songs were kind of like, and I was correct. All the other songs, all the other songs have that same kind of feel to them, where they're slow moving, they take their time, they milk the atmosphere. They're like 18 minutes long. The shortest song on either of these albums is over 10 minutes. And then the longest one, I think, is the first track on the first album, which is 18 minutes. So they fluctuate in between that range. Most of them, like here, 18 minutes, 16, 12, 10. And then part 2, you have like 14, 15, 16, 12. So it's kind of around there. And they all kind of have that same structure where it builds, you know, what I said. The weird part for me is that I don't like this kind of music. I don't like music that takes its time a lot of the time and builds atmosphere. I'm not the biggest fan of it. There are probably some exceptions, but I can't think of any right now. And this album kind of took my expectations and flipped them on its head because I really, really enjoyed both of these albums. They are very interesting front to back. The atmosphere is great. The chords that they use are great. It's a lot of my favorite chord progressions. It's a lot of like 1 to 6 or 1 to 4 chord progressions, and like back and forth between like the 1 to 6 and the back and forth between 1 to 4, something like that, like stuff that I really enjoy. And there were also a lot of really great kind of like twinkly guitar parts that happen above everything in the mix, and you hear like these twinkly guitar parts with these chords that are going, and vocals that sound kind of like Thornhill vocals or something at times, and the screams come in and it sounds like Brian Garris if he was a little harsher and less yelly and screamy. It's interesting. It is a very interesting and unique sound. Going into this, if you're expecting it to sound like Greek mythology, whatever that sound may be, if you're expecting it to sound like Greek mythology, it doesn't really. It way more feels like prog. It's minimalist prog. It takes its time. And I will say, if you are someone who's not the biggest fan of this, still give it a try. Give it a listen. Because Stymphalia, I thought was pretty good. And Stymphalia made me want to check out the rest of the albums. But then, when I heard the other albums and the other songs, a lot of the songs here are even better than Stymphalia. The first song off the first album, Nemea, which is 18 minutes long, that's one of my favorites. The melodies throughout the entire thing are so good, and it milks it, and it got to the end, and I didn't want it to end. I got to the end of an 18-minute song, and I wanted it to keep going. And that's kind of like, when has that ever happened? I'm struggling to think of like a longer song where I wanted it to keep going. I wanted it to continue, and I felt like it could have gone on for longer. Stymphalia, I feel like, was a good length. Some of the sections on the song felt a little bit milked and more drawn out and like full. But like Nemea, the first track off this first album, The Eagle Part 1, incredible. Like so engaging the whole time. And then my other favorite track is the outro on Part 2, The Peacock, which is Tirida. That song, again, incredible. It had some of those amazing, incredible melodies and chord progressions and the guitar parts over it. And like it had, I'm trying to remember because I've only heard it once, but I think it had like a build or something halfway through and then this like massive payoff. And it just sounded it just wall of sounded you. And there's a lot of wall of sound moments in here. And I think that's also something that lends it to being as cool as it is. But I loved it. And all of those in-between songs, between the first song on the first album and the last song on the second album, all of those in-between songs are great as well. There's some songs that lean way more into the melodic side of things, like Nemea, or there's some songs that lean a little bit more into the harsh vocal side of things, like track 2 off of The Eagle Part 1, which is Lerny, and things like that, where a lot of these songs have, you know, similar vibes and similar structures where they milk the certain sections, but they all have very interesting and unique soundscapes to them, I feel. Even though they feel like they're one larger work, I remember moments from it, even after just one listen. And I've started my second listen. I started listening to this, I can't talk. I started listening to the first album again, and I got through Nemea again, and it just revalidated my feelings that it was amazing, and I wanted it to keep going. And then I got through part of Lerny again, and then I got home from work. So that was like where I ended up. So I'm on my second listen, and it's still good. And I feel like this is something that I'm going to listen to a few more times at least, and kind of get a more solidified opinion of. And then I'll talk about it in Coreycast and all that. But it kind of surprised me because I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. Now, every song in here being generally about the same length on average, every song in here follows a very similar structure song-wise. Like if you're looking at the song from like a zoomed out perspective, there's like the intro section and then like couple to a few middle sections and then like the ending outro section, and then that's over it. And the next song starts, and it's not so much a concept album as like one that flows all the way through. It's more of a concept album as like, these are the 12 trials of Hercules, and you have, here's the first one and the second one and the third, and they're separated, but it still feels really cool. It's still a very, very interesting album to listen to, and it has a lot of merits, a lot of things to like on these. I actually liked Part 1 more than Part 2. I think Part 1 had a little bit more engaging moments. It had more stuff going on that I liked. I think some of the melodies and chords on I think Elis and Knossos, which are the two tracks that are not Stymphalia or the finale that I talked about, Tirida. I think some of the parts of those songs didn't land as much for me. Obviously, I've only heard it once. I'm going to need to listen to it more, but that's kind of my feeling after like first listen. But overall, I think it's really good. The last two songs on Part 1 as well, I don't quite remember as much, but Nemea, Lerny, which are the first two tracks on Part 1, and the final track, Tirida, on Part 2, and Stymphalia are the four standout tracks for me. There's a lot of good stuff here. All right, so again, like I want these kind of videos to be just me talking about albums that I like, and maybe I talk about things that I think are like good that I notice after like a first listen, or maybe I listen to an album that I've heard a bunch of times and I just haven't talked about on the channel, and I kind of just give my thoughts on it and like where I'm at right now and why I love it so much, or something like that. That's kind of what I want these videos to be, and I think I can do some good stuff with this kind of format. So let me know if you like this. Give these albums a listen. I think they're definitely worth your time. I'm also going to, same as I do with the normal albums that I react to, I'm also going to rank this, and I would rank this in banger tier. Both of these albums are in banger tier. I would put part 1, The Eagle, a little bit higher than part 2, The Peacock. A little bit higher banger tier, but they are both about equal for me because they work as like one larger work. And when part 3 comes out, whenever that is, there's already a single out from it, I believe, because they dropped a new single earlier, and it dropped, April 30th, so about a month ago. Almost a month ago. They dropped a new, oh, never mind, hold up, wait, nope, the single is Tirida. Then why is, okay, I'm confused. The single that they dropped, I'm confusing myself. The single that they dropped is Tirida. It says it's their latest release for some reason. But the album came out a month before the single drop shows up on Spotify. So never mind. I'm incorrect. Ignore everything I said. Who knows when part 3 is coming out? But part 2 just came out about a few weeks ago, and it's very good. So give these albums a listen. Please let me know what you think of this. They only have 1,084 monthly listeners on Spotify, so they are definitely worth keeping an eye on if you like watching smaller bands. And I think that they have a bright future ahead of them with this. They're from Switzerland, and if they keep writing stuff, I think this is going to be great. I'm looking through some of their discography. They have an album that they put out in 2014, and then radio silence until 2023 when they drop part 1 of this. So I think if they continue and they make part 3, I'm going to try to promote this as much as I can and get people to listen to it. And if you guys want to, I don't know, share it with your friends or whatever, but you know, I like listening to smaller bands on this channel because I do this for fun. I do this for the love of the game, and I do this because I enjoy listening to new music, and it doesn't matter how many Spotify listens a band has. If it's good, it's good, and this is good. Something else I didn't talk about, I almost forgot. The mix is really good on these albums. The mix feels great, and that's something that is kind of hit or miss with bands in this range, like the 1,000 monthly listens range. The mix is very good, and it really works, especially for those big wall of sound, like scream moments that happen. It really has some impactful mixing power in these albums. So, yeah. Oh, also, I gotta make this joke because I made it in my other video, and I'm sad that video will never see the light of day. On the topic of me doing things because I love to do it and for the love of the game, and I think it's fun. I said in that video, if I cared about views, I would be making a video on Falling in Reverse. There we go. There's a joke. Okay. Ooh, haha, funny, haha. Not a fan of their music. I think it's a little bit boring. Okay, cool. then that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think of this format. It's a little more chill. It's just me talking to a camera instead of actually listening to or analyzing music, but I think it can be fun. I think there can be some good moments to come out of these. I don't know. And again, I do it for the love of the game. All right, cool. Well, this has been Matt's apology for absolutely butchering that last recording. Wait, let me hold up. Let me check that my mic is okay. My mic is recording. Oh, I'm checking now at the end of the video. I recorded an album a reaction last night, so I tested that it's good, and it's usually good until the PC shuts off or restarts or something. All right, cool. Thanks for your support. Check out my socials and stuff and Patreon and whatever. I don't know. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.